Chapter 1. A Nightmare in My School. The chapter opens with Percy Jackson describing a recurring nightmare that has been haunting him. In the nightmare, he sees his friend Grover Underwood in peril, calling out for help. This nightmare has been bothering Percy for a while, and he wonders if it might be a vision of something real. Percy is attending his first day at a new school, Meriwether Prep. He's hoping for a fresh start, but things quickly take a turn for the worse. The orientation presentation is disrupted by a series of strange incidents that seem to involve Percy. The cheerleaders suddenly transform into monstrous, snake-haired creatures, known as impausi, and attack him. Percy's reflexes kick in, and he manages to defend himself with a pen that magically transforms into a sword, a weapon specifically designed to fight monsters. The other students and teachers are understandably shocked by the chaotic scene, and Percy's classmate, Nancy Bobofit, accuses him of causing the disturbance. Percy tries to explain the situation to the principal, Mr. Bonsai, but he doesn't believe Percy's story and implies that Percy is troubled or delusional. Percy's frustration grows as he realizes that no one else seems to remember the monsters or the chaos that just occurred. After the incident, Percy meets with his friend Grover, who is disguised as a student at the school to watch over Percy. Grover is a satyr, a creature that serves as a protector for demigods, half-blood children of gods and mortals. Grover confirms that the monsters were real and reassures Percy that he's not crazy. Grover reveals that the magical barrier protecting Camp Half-Blood, the safe haven for demigods, is weakening, allowing monsters to enter more frequently. He emphasizes the urgency of their situation and the need for Percy to return to camp. Grover also shares his own quest. He's searching for the lost god Pan, whose absence has caused nature to wither and fade. Chapter 2. My best friend shops for a wedding dress. The chapter opens with Percy Jackson reflecting on how strange his life has become since he discovered he's a demigod, a child of a Greek god and a mortal. He thinks about his friend Annabeth Chase, a fellow demigod and daughter of Athena, whom he met during his previous summer at Camp Half-Blood. Annabeth unexpectedly appears at Percy's apartment in New York City, and he's both surprised and thrilled to see her. However, her appearance signals that something urgent is happening. Annabeth explains that the magical borders of Camp Half-Blood, which protect the demigods from monsters, have been weakening. Percy's presence at camp is crucial to its defense, and they need him back immediately. Annabeth also brings along a gift from Percy's mother, Sally Jackson. A protective magic shield that resembles a wristwatch, which she has developed to keep monsters from detecting Percy's scent. Percy is deeply moved by his mother's efforts to keep him safe. As Annabeth and Percy travel to Camp Half-Blood using a magical device called the Mist, they discuss the situation at camp. The camp's protective barrier is generated by a magical pine tree known as Talia's Pine, named after Talia Grace, a deceased demigod who sacrificed herself to save her friends by becoming a tree. The tree's magic is fading, allowing monsters to breach the camp's defenses. Annabeth tells Percy that the tree has been poisoned, and its healing powers are diminishing. They arrive at Camp Half-Blood and are greeted by the centaur Chiron, the camp's activities director, and Mr. D, the god Dionysus, who is serving a punishment as the camp's director. Annabeth explains the urgency of the situation, and Chiron and Mr. D agree that they need to go on a quest to retrieve the Golden Fleece to heal Talia's pine. Percy is initially surprised that Annabeth didn't get selected for the quest, considering her experience and skills. However, she reveals that Clarice, the head counselor of the Ares cabin, children of the god of war, was chosen instead. Annabeth is frustrated by this decision, believing that Clarice might not be the best choice. Chapter 3. We hail the taxi of eternal torment. The chapter begins with Percy Jackson feeling frustrated about the state of things at Camp Half-Blood. He reflects on his longing for a normal life and his desire to be with his mother, Sally Jackson, who is currently married to a horrible man named Gabe Ugliano. Percy is joined by his half-brother Tyson, a Cyclops who has recently arrived at camp. Percy is surprised by Tyson's appearance and feels conflicted about his feelings for his new sibling. He is uncomfortable around Tyson due to his appearance as a one-eyed giant, but he also feels guilty for not being more accepting. Chiron, the Centaur Activities Director, informs Percy and Tyson about a barrier breach at the camp's borders. Laestrygonians, a type of giant cannibalistic monsters, attacked the campers and even managed to enter the camp briefly before being repelled. Chiron emphasizes the seriousness of the situation and the need for the campers to be on high alert. Soon after, Clarice, the head counselor of the Ares cabin, returns from her failed quest to retrieve the Golden Fleece. She is disheveled and angry, having narrowly escaped dangerous encounters during her journey. Clarice blames Percy for her failure and implies that he's not a true hero like his father, Poseidon. Chiron announces that the camp needs to go on lockdown and reinforces the rules for campers' safety. Percy becomes increasingly frustrated by the camp's vulnerability and his inability to do anything about it. He feels that he's constantly being treated as a troublemaker or a problem. Later, Percy visits his friend Annabeth Chase, who is working on a cabin for the minor god Hermes. Annabeth explains that Hermes, the god of travelers, messengers, and thieves, is her father, and she's working on his cabin as a way of honoring him. She also mentions that Hermes has a lot of demigod children due to his role as the god of travelers. Annabeth and Percy discuss the situation with Talia's pine and the weakening barrier. Annabeth believes that Luke Castellan, a former demigod camper who betrayed the gods, might be responsible for the poisoning of the tree. Percy is conflicted about Luke, as they were once friends. In the midst of their conversation, they hear the camp's warning horn, indicating another breach of the barrier. Percy, Annabeth, and Tyson rush to the scene, where they confront a group of Laestrygonians. In the ensuing battle, they manage to defeat the monsters, but the camp is left in chaos. Chapter 4. I become a known fugitive. The chapter opens with Percy Jackson feeling frustrated with his situation at Camp Half-Blood. He is still bothered by the recent events involving the Laestrygonian attack and the camp's vulnerability due to the weakening barrier. Percy's friend Annabeth Chase approaches him with news that the Golden Fleece has been found. Clarice, the head counselor of the Ares cabin, has managed to locate the fleece on the island of the Cyclops Polyphemus in the Sea of Monsters. Clarice has set off on a quest to retrieve it. Percy is surprised and frustrated that Clarice has been chosen for the quest instead of him. He believes that he should be the one to undertake the dangerous mission, considering his experience and his history with quests. Annabeth reveals that Chiron was pressured by the gods to send Clarice, possibly as a test or challenge for Percy. Percy and Annabeth discuss the significance of the Golden Fleece. It is a powerful magical artifact with healing abilities and the potential to save the camp by healing Talia's pine. Percy is determined to retrieve the fleece himself, even if it means going against Chiron's orders. Percy and Annabeth decide to visit the Oracle of Delphi to seek guidance and confirm whether Percy should go on the quest. They sneak away from camp and travel to the Grey Sisters' junkyard, where they find the ancient and fragmented oracle. The Grey Sisters, who share a single eye among them, are blind but possess knowledge of the future. The Grey Sisters help Percy and Annabeth by sharing fragmented prophecies. They learn that Percy's involvement in the quest is crucial, and that he should be cautious of an upcoming choice involving a cursed blade. The Oracle's predictions further solidify Percy's resolve to embark on the quest. As Percy and Annabeth leave the junkyard, they are confronted by Clarice, who has returned from her failed quest. Clarice is furious and confrontational, blaming Percy for her failure. A fight ensues between Percy and Clarice, but it is broken up by Annabeth and the Grey Sisters. Percy and Annabeth manage to escape the scene and return to Camp Half-Blood. Percy feels a mixture of frustration, determination, and guilt for defying Chiron's orders. He is more convinced than ever that he must retrieve the Golden Fleece and save the camp, even if it means becoming a known fugitive. Chapter 5. Demon Poodle. The chapter opens with Percy Jackson and Annabeth Chase preparing to embark on a quest to retrieve the Golden Fleece. Percy is determined to save Camp Half-Blood and restore Talia's pine, even though he knows he's defying orders and becoming a fugitive. Percy, Annabeth, and Percy's Cyclops half-brother, Tyson, set off to find Clarice, who is on her way to the Sea of Monsters. They hope to join her quest and work together to retrieve the fleece. However, Percy is conflicted about working with Clarice due to their history of rivalry. As they travel, the trio encounters a series of challenges. They navigate through the Sea of Monsters, encountering dangerous creatures and navigating treacherous waters. They manage to avoid the siren's song, which lures sailors to their doom. Their journey takes them to the coast of an island, where they see a beautiful cruise ship named the Princess Andromeda. The ship is known for its sinister reputation. It's owned by Luke Castellan, a demigod who has turned against the gods. Percy's frustration and anger towards Luke are reignited, as he knows that Luke is connected to the plot to resurrect the Titan Kronos. The group decides to stay hidden and observe the ship from a distance. Percy sees an imprisoned satyr on board, whom he believes is Grover Underwood, his friend who had been searching for the lost god Pan. Percy is determined to rescue Grover, but he also knows that approaching the ship directly would be extremely risky. As they discuss their options, Tyson makes a surprising discovery: a celestial bronze scythe, a weapon specifically designed to fight monsters. This discovery is significant because celestial bronze is deadly to monsters, and finding such a weapon boosts their chances of success on the quest. While Percy, Annabeth, and Tyson are discussing their plans, a magical creature known as the hippocampus arrives. The hippocampus, a horse-like creature with the lower body of a fish, offers them a ride to their destination. They agree to the offer and are transported through the water by the friendly creature. Chapter 6. We check into Circus. The chapter opens with Percy Jackson, Annabeth Chase, and Tyson riding the friendly hippocampus to the island where they believe Clarice and the Golden Fleece are located. The trio lands at the coast of an island that Percy recognizes as the infamous Sea of Monsters, also known as the Bermuda Triangle. The group observes an amusement park on the island, named Circe Land, and deduces that it's the work of the sorceress Circe, who turns visitors into animals. Percy recalls the stories from Greek mythology where Circe lured sailors and transformed them into swine. They enter the amusement park, which has an eerie and deserted atmosphere. As they explore, they discover various animal transformations and evidence of visitors who had been turned into animals. They encounter a merry-go-round with animals frozen in motion, a grotesque animal-themed gift shop, and eerie announcements over the intercom. While searching for Clarice and the Golden Fleece, Percy and his friends are confronted by a trio of mechanical spiders. These mechanical monsters are aggressive and threatening, and Percy realizes that they're constructs made by the sorceress Circe to protect her domain. Percy, Annabeth, and Tyson are forced to fight off the mechanical spiders. During the battle, Percy uses his water-controlling abilities to his advantage, defeating the spiders by rusting their metal parts with seawater. The encounter emphasizes Percy's combat skills and resourcefulness. After defeating the spiders, the trio decides to leave Circe Land before Circe herself shows up. They also believe that the Golden Fleece might be located on the island's mountain peak, and they set out to find it. As they trek uphill, Percy contemplates his complicated relationship with his father, Poseidon, and his mixed feelings about being a demigod. When they reach the top of the mountain, they discover a garden with various statues of animals. In the center of the garden stands the mansion of Circe, who appears before them as a beautiful but dangerous sorceress. Circe initially mistakes Percy and his friends for visitors to her amusement park, but Percy manages to communicate their true intentions. Circe is intrigued by Percy's resilience and curiosity about the Golden Fleece. She invites them into her mansion, where they encounter a variety of animals that were once humans. Circe offers them food, which Percy instinctively refuses, remembering the stories of her turning humans into animals. Circe reveals that she knows about the Golden Fleece and its ability to heal and purify. She is willing to give it to them in exchange for something valuable, Percy's memory of his greatest accomplishment. Percy initially refuses, but under pressure and the threat of being transformed into an animal, he agrees to Circe's terms. Circe serves Percy a potion that makes him forget his time at Camp Half-Blood, his friends, and his accomplishments. He begins to forget his own identity and the things that matter most to him. Tyson and Annabeth are distressed by this transformation and try to find a way to save Percy from losing himself. Chapter 7. The Sirens Sing. The chapter opens with Percy Jackson, Annabeth Chase, and Tyson leaving the island of Circe after narrowly escaping the sorceress's mansion. Percy's memories have been erased due to his deal with Circe, and he's struggling to recall important details about himself and his past. Tyson and Annabeth try to help him remember, but his memories remain fragmented. The trio continues their quest to find the Golden Fleece. As they sail through the Sea of Monsters, they encounter a series of challenges, including rough waters and eerie weather patterns. Annabeth explains that the Sea of Monsters is treacherous and filled with mythical dangers. Percy starts to remember small bits of information, including his mother's name, Sally, and his friend Grover. Despite his efforts to remember, his memory is still hazy, and he feels a sense of frustration and vulnerability. As they sail on, they come across an island with a group of sirens. Sirens are enchanting creatures from Greek mythology known for their mesmerizing songs that lure sailors to their doom. Annabeth warns Percy and Tyson about the sirens' danger and advises them to block their ears to avoid being entranced by the song. As they pass the sirens, Percy, Annabeth, and Tyson use wax to block their ears and successfully resist the sirens' call. However, Percy spots a group of pirates sailing towards the Sirens' Island, under the spell of the Sirens' song. The pirates' ship is about to crash, and Percy, despite his inability to remember much, decides to save them. Percy jumps into the water and creates a whirlpool to divert the pirates' ship away from the Sirens' Island. He uses his control over water to manipulate the currents and save the pirates from their impending doom. In the process, he also inadvertently creates a powerful vortex that sucks him underwater. Percy's memory starts to come back in flashes as he sinks into the depths. He remembers his friends, his time at Camp Half-Blood, and his experiences as a demigod. As he struggles to regain control, he encounters a mysterious figure that offers him assistance. Percy is briefly disoriented before resurfacing, gasping for air. Annabeth and Tyson pull Percy back onto the ship, and he realizes that he's managed to escape the vortex. Percy's memory is still not fully restored, but the encounter with the mysterious figure has sparked a faint recollection of a prophecy. Chapter 8. We board the Princess Andromeda. The chapter opens with Percy Jackson, Annabeth Chase, and Tyson recovering from their encounter with the sirens. They continue their journey to find the Golden Fleece, sailing through the treacherous sea of monsters on the ship they obtained from the hippocampus. As they sail, Annabeth explains to Percy and Tyson that the Sea of Monsters, also known as the Bermuda Triangle, is a place where monsters are particularly active and where magical forces are unpredictable. Percy expresses his frustration at not being able to remember the specifics of his quest and his identity as a demigod. The trio spots a massive cruise ship on the horizon. Annabeth recognizes it as the Princess Andromeda, a luxurious cruise liner known to be connected to Luke Castellan, a former camper at Camp Half-Blood who has turned against the gods. Percy's frustration and anger flare up as he remembers Luke's betrayal and his connection to the ship. He realizes that the Princess Andromeda might be involved in the scheme to resurrect the Titan Lord Kronos, and he becomes determined to investigate further. As they get closer to the cruise ship, Percy and his friends try to come up with a plan. They decide to approach the Princess Andromeda as if they were innocent passengers, hoping to find information about the Golden Fleece and any potential connection to Luke. The trio disguises themselves as passengers and docks the ship at the cruise liner. They manage to blend in with the other passengers, who are unaware of their true identities. As they explore the ship, Percy's anger intensifies when he witnesses the luxurious and extravagant lifestyle of the passengers, a stark contrast to the struggles of demigods like himself. Percy, Annabeth, and Tyson come across a group of demigods who are working as the ship's crew. They overhear conversations that hint at the ship's connection to Luke and his plot to resurrect Kronos. The demigods are miserable, working under duress and being subjected to mistreatment by Luke and his allies. Percy and his friends continue to gather information while navigating the ship's many distractions. They also discovered the horrifying reality that the Princess Andromeda serves as a base for Luke's operations, including the recruitment of demigods to his cause. During their exploration, they also come across a horrifying discovery, a room filled with lifelike statues of people, including demigods, who had been turned into gold. Percy realizes that the room must be a result of Medusa's influence. As they gather information, the trio accidentally attracts the attention of Luke's ally, Chris Rodriguez, who recognizes them as demigods. A chase ensues, and Percy and his friends barely manage to escape by diving into the sea and summoning the hippocampus. Chapter 9. I have the worst family reunion ever. The chapter opens with Percy Jackson, Annabeth Chase, and Tyson escaping from the Princess Andromeda with the help of the hippocampus. They discuss their discoveries on the cruise ship, including the shocking realization that the ship is being used as a base for Luke's operations to resurrect the Titan Lord Kronos. Percy reflects on his complicated history with Luke, who was once a close friend and a fellow camper at Camp Half-Blood. Luke's betrayal and alliance with Kronos have caused Percy immense pain and anger, and he is determined to stop Luke's plans. As they sail away from the Princess Andromeda, the trio realizes that they need to continue their quest to find the Golden Fleece. They remember that Clarisse LaRue, the head counselor of the Ares cabin, had been on the same quest. They decide to track her progress and find the island of the Cyclops Polyphemus, where they believe the Golden Fleece is located. Percy, Annabeth, and Tyson encounter various challenges and monsters as they sail, including sea serpents and whirlpools. Despite these obstacles, they remain determined to reach their destination and save Camp Half-Blood. During their journey, Tyson reveals that he is Percy's half-brother, as both are children of Poseidon. Percy's initial discomfort with Tyson's appearance starts to fade as he realizes that Tyson is genuine, loyal, and brave. Percy begins to accept Tyson as his brother. The trio eventually reaches an island, where they find Grover Underwood, Percy's friend, and a satyr who had been searching for the lost god Pan. Grover is in a difficult situation. He's being held captive by the Cyclops Polyphemus, who plans to marry Grover. Polyphemus believes that by marrying a satyr, he will achieve a status higher than other cyclopes. Percy, Annabeth, and Tyson come up with a plan to rescue Grover and retrieve the Golden Fleece. They pose as visitors interested in participating in a marriage ceremony on Polyphemus's island. The plan involves luring Polyphemus into a trap and then using the fleece to heal Talia's pine and save Camp Half-Blood. The trio presents themselves to Polyphemus, who initially seems delighted by the prospect of marrying Grover. However, Polyphemus becomes suspicious of their intentions and becomes aggressive. A tense and dangerous encounter ensues as Percy, Annabeth, and Tyson try to outwit the Cyclops. Just as the situation seems dire, Clarice arrives on the scene, having finally caught up with them. She brings an unexpected ally, a mechanical fire-breathing bull called Chariot of Damnation. Clarice's arrival shifts the balance of the battle, and together, they manage to defeat Polyphemus and his bull. Percy, Clarice, and the others retrieve the Golden Fleece from Polyphemus's cave. Percy also encounters a magical boundary that activates his memories, causing him to remember the prophecy given to him by the oracle at Delphi. Chapter 10. We hitch a ride with dead Confederates. The chapter opens with Percy Jackson, Annabeth Chase, Tyson, and Clarice LaRue celebrating their victory over the Cyclops Polyphemus and obtaining the Golden Fleece. They decide to use the fleece to heal Talia's pine and save Camp Half-Blood. Percy's memories have been fully restored, including the troubling prophecy he heard while acquiring the fleece. The group prepares to leave the island and return to Camp Half-Blood. Percy has mixed feelings about Clarice, as they have had a history of rivalry and competition. However, he acknowledges her bravery and contributions to their success. They make a plan to use the fleece to heal Talia's pine, but they are concerned about Luke's presence and potential interference. They decide to take the Golden Fleece back to camp as quickly as possible. To travel back to camp, they realize they need a means of transportation. Grover Underwood, Percy's satyr friend, suggests that they summon the magical creatures known as hippocampi, which can carry them across the sea. The group uses the conch shell that Grover has been blowing to communicate with the hippocampi, and soon, a group of the creatures arrives. Percy and his friends mount the hippocampi and begin their journey back to Camp Half-Blood. As they travel, they face various challenges, including storms and sea monsters. Despite the dangers, they press on with determination. During their journey, they encounter a group of Confederate soldiers' spirits who are trapped at the bottom of the sea. The spirits are unaware that the Civil War has ended and are stuck in a repeating loop of fighting. Percy and his friends use their powers to summon air bubbles and communicate with the spirits, offering them closure and news of the war's end. The spirits thank them and dissipate, finally finding peace. As they continue their journey, Clarice reveals that the Chariot of Damnation, the mechanical fire-breathing bull she had used in battle, belongs to the god Hephaestus. Percy and Annabeth are alarmed by this revelation, as it suggests that the gods might be divided and some might be working against Zeus and the other Olympian gods. Chapter 11. Clarice blows up everything. The chapter opens with Percy Jackson and his friends arriving at Camp Half-Blood on the backs of the hippocampi. They are welcomed by the campers and Chiron, who express relief at their safe return. Clarisse Larue presents the Golden Fleece to Chiron, and the campers gather around to witness the fleece's healing powers. Clarisse shares her success in retrieving the fleece, and Percy reflects on the challenges they faced during their journey. He's also curious about the fleece's healing properties and how it will affect Talia's pine. Chiron and the campers witness as the golden fleece is placed on Talia's pine, the magical tree that protects Camp Half-Blood. The fleece's healing powers begin to take effect, rejuvenating the tree and restoring its protective barrier. The campers cheer as the barrier strengthens, and Chiron praises Percy and his friends for their bravery and success. Despite the celebration, Percy is troubled by the memory of the prophecy he heard while retrieving the fleece. He is determined to uncover the meaning of the prophecy and the identity of the hero mentioned within it. Percy has a conversation with Chiron, who advises him to seek guidance from the Oracle of Delphi to better understand the prophecy. Chiron also informs Percy about Luke's plans to resurrect Kronos and the potential consequences for both mortals and gods. The campers begin preparations for the end-of-summer Capture the Flag game, a traditional competition between the camp's different cabins. Percy's team, the Poseidon cabin, hopes to win the game. However, Percy's thoughts are still focused on the prophecy and his unresolved feelings about Luke. As the game begins, Percy and his team participate in Capture the Flag. The game is intense and competitive, with demigods using their powers and skills to capture the opposing team's flag. Percy demonstrates his control over water and strategic thinking, using water to create obstacles and thwart the opposing team. During the game, Percy encounters a mechanical spider, which he recognizes as a creation of Hephaestus. This discovery raises concerns about the division among the gods and the potential conflicts that lie ahead. The game takes a surprising turn when Clarisse blows up the cabin of the Hermes camp, creating chaos and disrupting the game. Percy realizes that Clarisse has acted out of anger and jealousy, feeling overshadowed by the attention he and his friends have received for their recent achievements. Chapter 12. We get help from a thief. The chapter opens with Percy Jackson and his friends dealing with the aftermath of Clarissa's explosion at the Hermes cabin. The camp is in disarray, and the campers and counselors are working to repair the damage caused by the explosion. Percy is frustrated by Clarissa's actions and the chaos they've caused. Percy's friend Annabeth Chase suggests that they should seek help from Luke Castellan's mother, May Castellan, who is known to have the ability to see through the mist, a magical veil that obscures the true nature of mythological creatures from mortals. May Castellan is also known to be a skilled thief and could potentially help them navigate challenges. Annabeth suggests that they visit May's apartment in the city and seek her assistance in interpreting the prophecy Percy heard while retrieving the Golden Fleece. Percy agrees to the plan, as he is determined to understand the prophecy and prevent Kronos' resurrection. Percy, Annabeth, and Tyson leave Camp Half-Blood and head to New York City. They reach May Castellan's apartment, which is located in an old brownstone building. Annabeth is apprehensive about the meeting, as her history with the Castellan family is complicated. Upon entering the apartment, the group is met with an eerie and unsettling atmosphere. They find the apartment filled with clocks, which are constantly ticking and creating a sense of unease. May Castellan is revealed to be unstable, and she speaks in a disjointed manner. May agrees to help them interpret the prophecy, but she demands something in return. She asks for Percy's help in retrieving an item from a specific pawn shop in Manhattan. The item is a shield, which May believes holds significant value for her. Percy, Annabeth, and Tyson agree to help May in exchange for her assistance. They leave the apartment and head to the pawn shop, where they are met with a mysterious and dangerous figure. The figure reveals himself as the god Hermes, who is May's former lover and Annabeth's father. Hermes is angry with Percy and his friends for involving his family in their quest. He explains that May has been driven to madness due to her knowledge of the gods and the supernatural world. Hermes also reveals that the shield they're seeking was created by Luke Castellan, and he warns them of the dangers it holds. Despite the warning, Percy and his friends decide to retrieve the shield to fulfill their promise to May. They manage to obtain the shield from the pawn shop, but they are pursued by a group of Empausi, supernatural beings that serve Hecate, the goddess of magic. Percy, Annabeth, and Tyson manage to escape the Empausi and return to May's apartment. May helps them interpret the prophecy, revealing that it pertains to the possibility of Percy facing a difficult choice involving a cursed blade. Percy is left feeling troubled by the prophecy's implications and his uncertain future. Chapter 13. I plunge to my end. The chapter opens with Percy Jackson, Annabeth Chase, and Tyson leaving May Castellan's apartment after obtaining the shield from the pawn shop. They discuss the information they've learned about the prophecy and the challenges they're facing in preventing Kronos' resurrection. As they continue their journey, Percy's mind is preoccupied with the prophecy, which speaks of a choice he must make that will determine the fate of Olympus. He is determined to do whatever it takes to prevent the Titan Lord Kronos from returning and causing chaos. The trio arrives at a riverside and realizes that they need to cross the river to continue their quest. They decide to use the magical shield they obtained from the pawn shop to help them cross. The shield is known as Aegis, and it has the power to create an invisible barrier that can protect them from harm. Percy holds the shield and activates its power, creating a bubble of protection around them. They step onto the water, using the shield as a raft. However, the current is strong, and they struggle to maintain their balance as they navigate the river. Suddenly, a sea monster known as Charybdis emerges from the water, creating a massive whirlpool that threatens to devour everything in its path. Percy, Annabeth, and Tyson are pulled into the whirlpool, and their shield is ripped away from them by the force of the current. As they are pulled underwater, Percy's thoughts race as he realizes the danger they're in. He recalls the story of Charybdis from Greek mythology, a creature that poses a deadly threat to sailors and ships. Percy uses his abilities to manipulate water, trying to resist the whirlpool's pull, but his efforts are in vain. Just as it seems that they are about to be consumed by the whirlpool, a magical force intervenes and saves them. Percy feels a surge of power and realizes that he is being carried to safety by his father, Poseidon, the god of the sea. Poseidon's presence shields them from Charybdis' danger, and they are deposited on a nearby island. Percy, Annabeth, and Tyson recover from the ordeal and reflect on the intervention of the gods. Percy is grateful for his father's protection and guidance, but he also knows that he must face the challenges ahead and make the choices that will shape his destiny. Chapter 14. I have a damn problem. The chapter opens with Percy Jackson, Annabeth Chase, and Tyson recovering on an island after being rescued from the whirlpool by Poseidon's intervention. They discuss their next steps in their quest to retrieve the Golden Fleece and save Camp Half-Blood from the threat of Kronos' resurrection. Percy reflects on the challenges they've faced and the ongoing importance of their mission. He's determined to prevent Kronos from regaining his full power and wreaking havoc on the world. As they explore the island, the trio comes across a familiar face, Clarisse LaRue, the head counselor of the Ares cabin, who had been on a separate quest to retrieve the fleece. Clarisse is frustrated by the group's success and feels overshadowed by Percy's reputation and achievements. Clarisse explains that her quest hit a roadblock, the Manticore, a dangerous creature who had been guarding the Golden Fleece. She was forced to flee and had to leave the fleece behind. Percy and his friends realize that they need to work together to retrieve the fleece and continue their mission. The group decides to use Clarisse's ship, the CSS Birmingham, to navigate through the Sea of Monsters to reach the fleece. They work together to repair and prepare the ship for their journey. During their preparations, Percy notices that Clarisse seems troubled and burdened by her responsibilities as the camp's champion. As they sail, Clarisse opens up to Percy about her doubts and the pressure she feels as the Ares cabin's leader. Percy offers her encouragement and reminds her of the importance of their mission to save Camp Half-Blood. The two develop a deeper understanding of each other's struggles and the shared responsibility they have as demigods. The ship encounters a sea monster, the Manticore's minion, who attacks them. The group engages in a battle, with Percy using his powers over water to manipulate the sea and defend the ship. Clarisse also fights valiantly, showing her determination and skill in combat. During the battle, Tyson makes a significant contribution by using his strength to disable the sea monster's attacks. The group works together to defeat the monster and continue their journey. After the battle, Clarisse expresses gratitude for Percy's help and admits that she has misjudged him in the past. The two demigods share a moment of mutual respect and camaraderie. As they sail onward, the group reaches the Sea of Monsters' most dangerous part, the clashing rocks. Percy recalls the story of Jason and the Argonauts, who faced the same challenge. The rocks threaten to crush any ship attempting to pass through. Clarisse comes up with a bold plan to navigate through the clashing rocks. She orders the crew to tie the ship to a mast, while she pilots it through the narrow gap between the rocks. The plan works, but the ship sustains damage as it scrapes through. The chapter ends with the ship damaged but still afloat. The group is closer to their destination, and Percy reflects on the challenges they've overcome and the obstacles that still lie ahead.